The union, representing 55,000 educational workers, say they are prepared to walk off the job.
We have team coverage with critical information you need to know, parents, but we're going to start with this. What would a full strike mean for students and parents? Right now, under the Work to Rule campaign, custodians have stopped cleaning hallways and emptying garbage cans outside schools. Clerical workers have stopped finding replacements for absent staff, and education workers have stopped overtime. On Monday, if no deal is reached, the 55,000 union members will all walk off the job. So, would teachers cross CUPE picket lines? The union says that is under discussion, in which case schools may have to close altogether. Also in question, what would a strike mean for the polling stations located in Ontario schools for the October 21st federal election? The union says it is not their intent to interfere with that.
Minister, when did you find out that CUPE intended on taking job action on Monday, ramping this up to a full-fledged strike?
Effectively 20 to 30 minutes before they went live.
Does that set a precedent for good faith bargaining when, you do come back to the table?
You know what, I wish that we've had a bit more notice perhaps, but at the end of the day, I think that this is an avoidable circumstance. I mean, CUPE introduced some partial withdrawal of service essentially on Monday. 48 hours later, they've announced to ramp this up, and I think we all have a lot of question marks about why.
Do you think this has anything to do with the federal election?
Some will note that the day of the strike action is on the first election debate, English language debate. I mean, it's curious, but I don't really want to make any conclusion at this point. I just want to make sure that they understand that my mission is to get at the table.
You went to private school. You don't have a lot of experience, or any to my knowledge, when it comes to labor negotiations. Why are you the best person suited to be dealing with this issue?
You know what, I got into politics because I believe we need generational voices in government.
So what do you say to that EA out there who's watching this and making $40,000, thinking to themselves, Minister Lecce doesn't know what I go through on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I did go to St. Margaret Mary. I was educated in Catholic public school for elementary. But I obviously don't profess to know the struggles and challenges they face. I realize they work hard. The big sticking point is sick days, where you have 131 sick days paid by taxpayers.
And there are some people that think this is a government that is cutting, and not really looking at where they're cutting when it comes to supports for autism services, healthcare, and on your file, and on education. What do you say to those people to convince them that that is not the case?
I am an unabashed defender of public education. I want families to know I will fight hard at the cabinet table, as I know the Premier believes in his heart, to defend their kids' futures.
And those aren't just talking points?
No, I think I've already demonstrated word and deed. I've reopened the capital program that's helping to improve schools by over $500 million this year alone. We're undertaking a new revamp of math, going back to basics, a new curriculum being introduced next September. I mean, these are actions.
Thanks, Minister. Appreciate your time.
Travis, will the Ford government consider calling back the legislature early to deal with this issue?
Well, we don't really have a clear answer on that one, Alan, right now. I did press the minister a couple of times asking him whether or not that would be on the table. He certainly did not say it's off the table, but said that he wants to get a deal with negotiating with the union right now, and he said that he's offered some days, although he wouldn't clarify what days they would be back at the table. We did see last year, if you remember, Alan, OPG workers that went off the job, and the legislature was recalled to legislate them back to work. So certainly it is an option. Whether or not that happens, we'll have to find out before October 28th. That is when the legislature is set to resume.